Is it possible to drive a car with this? Is the information captured through cameras enough to make all the decisions required to drive? For about 30 years now, smart teams all over the world have tried to solve this puzzle, and it seems like we're getting close. In fact, one of the brightest applied engineers of our time, Elon Musk, CEO of Tesla, claims
you can absolutely be superhuman with just cameras. Like you could probably do 10 times better than humans with just cameras.
And a number of very smart tech companies and well-funded automakers claim that with the addition of a few more key sensors such as LiDAR, fully autonomous cars are right around the corner. But after waiting for 3 decades, are we really getting self-driving cars? Are today's self-driving cars really flexible and robust enough to handle every possible driving scenario? And do they even need to be? Or can we safely rely on humans for the more complex situations, and on semi-autonomous features for everything else? How exactly do these machines perceive and reason about the world? Is it anything like the way we do? Are they really artificially intelligent? Let's unpack some of these questions by looking at some data. Ready? Here it is. Now, any idea what we're looking at here? 2 minor hints. First, notice that our values range from 0 to 255, and that there are roughly 3 blobs on our scatter plot, 1 off-white, 1 brown, and 1 greenish-gray. Now, at this point you may be thinking, bro, why are you showing us this stupid scatter plot? We're supposed to be talking about super high-tech self-driving cars. Well, this scatter plot is exactly how one of the first autonomous vehicles saw the world. And the data we're looking at here is a series of images of a dirt road. Let's pause on a single frame and put each data point back in its original image location. As you may know, digital images like this one are made up of a grid of pixels, and the color of each pixel is generally stored using a red, green, and blue intensity number between 0 and 255. If we rearrange our pixels so that for each pixel its red intensity value corresponds to its location on the horizontal axis, and its blue intensity value corresponds to its location on the vertical axis, this is the result. Now, why would we choose to represent our images in a scatterplot like this? What specific problem was the engineering team behind this approach trying to solve? The team in question here was working on a US government-funded project called the Autonomous Land Vehicle. The ALV was part of Strategic Computing, a $1 billion program funding advanced computing and artificial intelligence systems for military applications. The $10.4 million ALV contract was awarded to defense contractor Martin Marietta in August 1984, who was given just 9 months to complete its first technology demo, driving a vehicle completely autonomously on a 2-kilometer obstacle-free stretch of road. The ALV team quickly put together a vehicle large enough to house the required racks of computers, generators, and cooling systems, and topped the vehicle with a color video camera. Now, to meet their road-following demo deadline, the team had just a few months to figure out how to keep their vehicle on the road using only images from their camera. The team first focused on the important sub-problem of figuring out which pixels in a given image correspond to the road. Since road pixels are often a different color than, let's say, sky pixels, a reasonable thing to do here is to ignore the location of each pixel in our images and instead rely on the color of our pixels. This is precisely why the ALV team visualized their pixel color values in red-blue color space. The 3 blobs we saw earlier correspond fairly cleanly to the sky, the road, and the surrounding vegetation. To identify the road, all the ALV team had to do was to find some mathematics that would allow them to cleanly separate the road blob from the rest of the data. Note that we could have visualized our pixels in full 3D RGB color space, but the ALV team learned early on that the green color channel was not particularly helpful for road segmentation on their images. Now, to actually separate the road pixel blob from the rest of our data, the ALV team used a simple mathematical operation called a dot product. Taking a dot product in our red-blue color space is equivalent to projecting all of our data onto a line. When we perform this projection, each pixel is mapped to a single number that corresponds to its location on the line. We can get a sense for how our individual pixels are being projected by constructing a histogram of our projected points. where we colored the bars of our histogram with the average color of the points projected to the location of each bar. And as you can see, our brown road pixels are for the most part nicely separated into a region on the right side of our histogram. At this point, the ALV team separated these pixels from the rest of our data by taking a threshold. That is, declaring every point to the right of some cutoff value a road pixel, and every point to the left a non-road pixel. Let's have a look at the whole ALV system in action. To see where our final road detections are, we'll convert our images to grayscale, put our detected road pixels back in their original locations in image space, and visualize these detections in blue. Ready? Not bad, right? The ALV vision system is doing a pretty good job of detecting which pixels belong to the road. Using this vision system, the ALV team aced its first demo, successfully navigating its route entirely autonomously at an average speed of 2 miles an hour. This may sound slow, but for comparison, it's about 100 times faster than any mobile autonomous robot had traveled before. Now, as you can imagine, color-based vision algorithms like this are not exactly how your Tesla sees the road today. It's pretty easy to find situations where the ALV system would fail. Here's a few other road clips that present some more challenging environments. Despite tuning the ALV algorithm for each individual scene, we still see poor performance due to issues such as shadows, variable illumination, subtle road boundaries, and insufficient color differences between the road and non-road. The ALV system was improved over time, including smart systems that would adaptively tune algorithm parameters as it drove down the road. However, the program was effectively shut down early, just a few years after it started. Now, despite these setbacks, the ALV project did kick off an incredibly productive decade in self-driving cars. In fact, less than 10 years later, in the summer of 1995, this happened. Carnegie Mellon professor Dean Pomerleau and his graduate student Todd Yoakum drove across the entire US in a retrofitted minivan 98% autonomously. At this point in my research, I found myself asking an important question. How is this possible? How do we go from the 15,000-pound ALV, driving 2 miles an hour with color-based road segmentation that only works on certain roads, to driving 98% across the country autonomously in a consumer minivan in less than 10 years? To answer this question, next time we'll visit Carnegie Mellon in the 1980s. Thanks for watching. Please consider supporting Welch Labs by backing the channel on Patreon. There's a ton of cool stuff about the ALV that I didn't have time to cover here. I've linked a Jupyter Notebook below where you can play with some data and learn more about how the ALV system worked. Special thanks to Matthew Turk, an original ALV team member, for discussing this project with me. I highly recommend Turk's original ALV publication. Finally, a special thanks to the members of the Welch Labs Early Review Board, helping me catch errors and sleep a little better.